Villagers, those adore little mobs that go, How do you get them to breed and get more? So here I am inside of Minecraft, and I have done it. It's true. After many years of searching, I have found the saddest village ever. I am not sure what happened to this village here as to why there is no buildings or anything. There's one building. It's a smoker. These villagers, poor villagers, they don't even have a house. They have one smoker and one iron golem, and that is it. Here are the two villagers right there and right there. And maybe what they're doing right now is they're running to the pyramid because they need shelter. So if you yourself find yourself in this situation where there is a village that you want to thrive, you want them to live, you want them to create more villagers, how do you do? Well, of course, that's what we're going to be answering today. So first, there's two things that you need to know whenever you are trying to breed villagers. They need to be willing, and they need to have enough beds for new villagers to spawn in. And as long as those two things are met, then villagers will breed. So first, let's talk about beds, because that is going to be the simplest option for you to make happen. And seriously, all you need to do, make a few beds, super cheap to do as long as you have the wool to do it, and throw them down, and now villagers will notice, as long as it's inside of the village, as what they consider to be the village, then they will go ahead and breed. What I would do actually right now, if this was my little home and situation, is I would grab both of these villagers before they get too far away and try to put them into some boats. And that way, come on, there you go. Got one in there, and I'll get in just a moment. And that way we can move them from one location to another and corral them and get them in a nice, safe spot. If you're trying to make villagers, if you're trying to breed new villagers, it's probably because you want to get started with some type of villager trading system. So, I hear a zombie already. See, this is what we're trying to avoid, is any zombies or anything attacking these villagers. So we're going to get them into our own little village, and that will just make sure that we add some walls and whatnot so that they're not going to be killed. These villagers really do have a pretty sad life ahead of them, considering that the little box I put them in, not very well adorned, doesn't really look all that great anyway. Sad to say, this is their life now. So once you have them in a nice location for them to be able to breed, now you can just break the boats that they're in. And let me just make sure now they're both in a boat. Wonderful. There we go. So now we've broken the boats, and they're in an area that has beds and themselves, and it's not going to be attacked as long as some spiders don't climb up this wall here. A nice thing to note is that villagers cannot open fence gates. So if you want to create a way for you to be able to enter and exit this area without letting your villagers out, just create sort of this airlock situation with two fence gates, and that way they won't open them and they will not escape. Now that they have beds, now they need to become willing to breed. And the only thing that you need to do for that is to give them food. And I have a little rule that makes it a little bit easier for you to remember what types of food that you can give them and how much. And that is 3, 12, 12, 12. And basically you just have to remember 12, but there's 3 sets of 12. So that's why you also remember the number 3. And that corresponds to the food that is basically always available in villages. So that is carrots, potatoes, beetroots, and bread. And remember my 3, 12, 12, 12? Well, you need to give the villagers at least 3 bread or 12 of any of these other options. So inside of their little villager inventories, if I throw this bread on the ground, you can see it will get sucked up into that guy. And so any of these types you can be given to the villagers in these quantities. You may want to keep this very specific. So I just gave that guy 3 bread. Let me give this guy 12. Well, come back, my friend. Come, listen, eat. Eat this food. There you go. So now he has 3, he has 12. They're both willing to breed at this point. We may just need to wait until a specific time of day when they gossip and talk to each other. And then they will breed together. There we go. Look at that. Oh my gosh. They both got the things. Now they're talking. Ooh, I see what's happening here. And they're both willing. It looks like they're having a little chat. And I can see it already. There is a baby villager right there. So the 2 things that needed to happen, extra beds in the village and food for the villagers. If these villagers, so it looks like we have, here, let's make this easy to look at. We got 6 beds of on each side, so 3 equals 6. That means that the villagers will stop breeding after they have reached 6 villagers. So you do need to have more beds if you want more villagers. The villagers will basically claim a bed, like in The Sims or something like that. And then they will try to fill those beds with the breeding. Now, when it comes to food, I have a few tips when it comes to which things you should be feeding them. I like to stick to a mono diet. That way, because these guys have an inventory, but you don't want to accidentally fill up their inventory with, like, say, only like 6 beetroots, and you didn't know it was in there, and you got maybe two bread, and you didn't know that they had some bread in their inventory. So I like to fill them up with only one type of food. That way, I don't get confused on what type of food they have in their inventory, or if they need to eat it or get rid of it. So I like to keep them to one type of food. And that one type of food that I prefer is carrots. And the reason that I like carrots is because it doesn't require any extra steps when it comes to crafting. So with bread, you need to first create the wheat and then harvest the wheat and then make that into bread, and then you have enough bread. With potatoes, you will sometimes end up with there's no crafting there, but you'll sometimes end up with poisonous potatoes, which can be annoying. And beetroots, while you don't get any poisonous beetroots, you have a lot of beetroot seeds. So that's another issue with plain old wheat. So I like carrots because they are the same thing that you harvest that you plant as well. So you plant and harvest the exact same thing. You're not going to get anything that you'll need to craft, and you're not going to run into a situation where you get a poisonous version of that and just have a whole bunch of that just sitting around and can't compost it for whatever reason. And if it wasn't obvious before, you do need at least 2 villagers in order to start the breeding process. And now that we have the villagers, we can fill them up with lots and lots of food. So there you go. Now you have 64, and we're going to fill you with 64 as well. And you left your carrots on the ground. Now I don't remember which one of you had. Oh, look, he's tossing carrots to the other so that they become willing as well. Here, let's just throw all these on the ground. I don't know who needs who, but there we go. Okay, looks like they got them. Now, with the profession changes, I've covered this in previous videos, but it's very, very simple to change villager professions now. It looks like all of these guys are farmers because there's so many composters around, but you can just destroy their profession blocks. Well, I think there's a smoker in here that I also need to destroy. Then you can give them new profession blocks, and as long as they it may take a little bit of time for them to notice that the old ones are broken and the new ones are there. But as long as they have not gone past novice in their trades, then they will take on the new profession. Another thing to note is that beds can be stacked on top of each other like this. And so if you're trying to really fit in a ton of beds, you can also do this bunk bed situation. And the villagers will still consider the beds below the bunk beds. So this is, a stack of 2 valid beds, which is useful. So it looks like we've already had 2 villager breeding cycles, and this has seriously not lasted very long at all. And we've already have 2 baby villagers, which is wonderful. There you have it, a few tips and tricks that I have imparted onto you on how to get your villagers to breed, and also what you might need in order to create a trading area or make sure that your villagers don't run away. All of that good stuff. Of course, if you're hoping to move on into villager trades, I have some videos on all the different trades that the villagers will make. And then also switching professions of the villagers is super simple. So you can make sure to get like 5 different butchers, level them all up, see who has the best trades, and then keep them just around, and then kill off the ones that don't do so good. I would suggest using the world in order to kill those guys. Don't do it yourself. Like, don't smack them, otherwise trades for everybody will go down. And there is a 3-minute cooldown. When a villager dies, even if it is by the world, not by a mob or anything like that, there's a 3-minute cooldown on breeding, so you need to keep that in mind also. That if you're trying to breed up really fast and you just killed a few villagers by suffocating them with sand, which is kind of the way that I would suggest to do it, well, then there's going to be a 3-minute cooldown, and they will not breed during those 3 minutes. Hope you found something in this video useful. If you did, please give this video a good old big old like. Let me know in the comments down below what you're thinking or what you learned during this episode. And also make sure to subscribe for future videos, tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights here on OMG Craft. See you next time. Bye.